All right, so back to Don Lemon. Here's Don Lemon again. Don Lemon had foreknowledge of the church invasion protest that left kids in tears. He must be investigated over when he knew this and if he planned this in any way with the group. The group, and I mean every single member of it, must be arrested over it. And just before we watch this video, he is being indicted by the FBI. He's being indicted by the FBI because he went into a church and induced a riot. So let's watch this.
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we're like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up, and it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, I can't tell you where they're going.
So Don Lemon he's literally going to Minnesota to literally cause issues. And if he's not arrested for this, then we have a huge problem. All right, this is the next one. So this is Don Lemon tried lecturing a pastor on the First Amendment after a mob of far-left activists stormed a church in Minneapolis. But let's be clear, the First Amendment protects free speech, not chaos. Churches are private property, and worship isn't a protest zone. What happened wasn't exercising rights, it was trespassing and harassment.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Please don't push me. So he's coming into a church and causing a scene, but he's going to tell the pastor, please don't push me. Don Lemon is so gay. He's so gay.
That's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
No, you're not.
We're here to worship.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No, you're not. See, he wants to I'm a Christian. No, you're not. If you were a Christian, you wouldn't fucking be there. You wouldn't be in that church causing this scene, recording shit with your fucking stupid ass black glasses. If you were a Christian, you wouldn't let that happen.
What do you think of it?
Garbage. Straight garbage. And let's see. The next one is right here.
I see various.
This is where he's going to be held accountable for all those actions. Here we go.
Will pursue charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else?
So the guy on the left is Benny Johnson. He is Well, yes, I'm watching this video because it is good information from the lady on the right, but the guy on the left, his name is Benny Johnson. He is a Republican cuck. A Republican cuck. And I cannot stand Benny Johnson. He is a fucking dick. He just allegedly was supposed to go to California to pronounce all this fraud from Gavin Newsom in California. But all he did was just fucking drive around and take videos of the homeless and gas prices. He did nothing to uncover the fraud. So he did nothing. And this guy is a fucking cuck. Benny Johnson is a piece of cuck shit.
What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Armino, just
And this conversation here is about Don Lemon going into Minnesota and storming churches. This is what this conversation is about.
pull up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned.
I'm sorry for constantly interrupting, but I just want to admit, my opinion, and me personally, I cannot stand this guy. Benny Johnson is a piece of shit. He is a Republican cuck. So what that means, he sits in the corner and jerks off to anything that has to do with Republican news. He every morning he posts on Twitter, oh, praise God, good morning, praise God. He's such a Christian, but he's a Jew. He's a fucking Jew. So he's not a Christian. He has several kids and a wife, and he alienates them every fucking day to go out and do all this stupid shit and create a narrative. Now, look, I'm not even gonna go there, but I'm just saying you can create your own idea or narrative about Benny Johnson, but Benny Johnson is a piece of shit and he's a Republican cuck.
This is a act that was passed in 1871.
Just saying.
Correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us?
And the reason why I'm watching this is I wanted to watch this because of the Don Lemon shit.
Because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a man, a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there, so it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln.
So again, this is referring to Don Lemon. So you may see Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, and Don Lemon is a black guy, but he went into a church and he just ruined the congregation and caused a riot, right? So the Ku Klux Klan of 1871 does have something that pertains to that, and that's what you're going to find out here.
Emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242. Civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if three grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions.
So the Klan Act, you can't think of the Klan Act as just a Ku Klux Klan Act. about those who wore white hoods and were racist and went against black people and African Americans. There's a lot more into this. But what I want you to remember as you're watching this is that Benny, Mr. Benny here has an agenda. He has an agenda. He is pro-conservative Republican, pro-Donald Trump, but he has an agenda. He has an agenda. And I want you to recognize that when this guy talks. Look at the way he presents himself, the way he talks, the way he dresses. He has an agenda, and he's not even, I don't even consider him a Republican or a conservative. I consider him a Nazi.
And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And President Trump pardoned the pro-life protesters in those cases. I have recently defended successfully in the 11th Circuit a case called Oropesa, a case of Jane's Revenge, the pro-abortion protesters violently attacking crisis pregnancy centers in Florida. And we had the court uphold the Klan Act criminal enhancement to the FACE Act. So I know this is very deep in the weeds, but the point is there are a number of...
Benny Johnson has gotten too big for his britches. He's gotten too big for his own good. And I just said it, but I literally think Benny Johnson is a Nazi. I think he is a closet Nazi. A closet Nazi. He recently went to California, and under the disguise of he was going to go to California and uncover all this fraud from Gavin Newsom in California. And all he fucking did was take videos of the prices of gas station signs and take videos of homeless throughout California. Well, we knew this already existed. We already knew this existed. And if you live anywhere else in America, gas prices are too high. But this guy, because he's a Republican cuck and he's a paid actor. He is a paid actor of the Republicans. He makes millions of dollars because he's a paid actor. Gas prices don't affect him at all because he's a paid actor.
Things, the FACE Act is just the...
Remember that. Every time he posts, I want you to remember that. He's a paid actor, a Nazi, and a cuck.
Right. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights. You have potentially the use of other instrumentalities to commit crimes. And so some of these folks who did this...
Look how quiet he is. Now, you might say, oh, it's great. He's not interrupting the person he's talking to. But he's not interrupting them because he's absorbing what this woman is saying so he can come back with some kind of cuck response.
Self-identified. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy.
And I know the whole topic of this was about Don Lemon going into a church and causing a riot, which is a felony. It's a federal felony, right?
It isn't. And so, we're getting our ducks in a row. We're putting the facts together. And this is a very serious matter. Come next Sunday, nobody should think in the United States that they're going to be able to get away with this. Everyone in the protest community needs to know that the fullest force of the federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening and put people away for a long, long time.
Bullshit. I call bullshit. You know why I call bullshit? Because we are uncovering so many crimes in America. So many crimes. Fraud. Christian fraud. You name it. There's so many frauds going on. But we find evidence. But who's being arrested? Who's being arrested? How many times... Are we seeing this? Are we seeing perp walks? We're not. Nobody's being arrested. So when are we going to turn into Iran? When are we going to turn into Iran and the American people are just going to be like, all this fraud and criminal activities going on. The government talks about it, but no one's being arrested. Epstein files, fraud, right? So just those two things alone. When are we going to fucking see somebody being arrested? When? If it was you or me committing these kind of crimes, we'd be arrested tomorrow. We'd be arrested tomorrow, charged, and sentenced to prison within 3 days. But we don't see anybody arrested in these government officials. Why? Why? Why don't we see this? That's what the American people want to see, is people being perp walked for their fucking crimes. But we talk about, oh, we got this, we got that, but nothing's happening. That's why Pam Bondi is the worst bitch to have in that role, and she's a DEI hire. Put a man in that role, and we might have a slight chance of someone being arrested. Just throwing it out there. I'm pissed. I'm sure you're pissed. And we want to go to work every day. We want to go to sleep every night. Wake up the next day. Go to work. But we see all this shit going on. But no one's being arrested. No one's being arrested. When's it going to start? When's it going to start? So, give me a few minutes. I'm going to end stream and come back in a few. And we're going to do some gaming. That's what we're going to do. But I feel comfortable in saying that this is garbage. When are people going to say enough is enough? When are we going to do what the Iranians are doing? Our government is corrupt. I don't care if it's Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, we know Barack Obama's corrupt. But everybody in the government is corrupt because they make a shit ton of money while we all suffer. When are we going to fight back like the Iranians do? So what I'm telling you is the Iranians have more balls and more guts than we do in America. Fight the fuck back and do something about it.